Hello. In today's practice lab, we will be introduced to some of the iOS commands. iOS stands for Inter-Network Operating System. I will be configuring the devices with IP version 4 and IP version 6 as shown on the topology, and then I will save the configurations. After that, I will verify them and test the network connectivity and then run some show commands. We have nothing configured yet on the devices except for the PCs. Like PCA here, I configured IP version 4 and IP version 6. The same with PCB on the tab of the IP configuration, IP version 4 and IP version 6. But to see what has been configured on a running network device, like a router or switch, we run a command, which is a show command, show flash. We will assume that it's in service and has been running for a while, but our devices in this topology are, as they used to say, out of the box, which brand new. Nothing is configured on them yet. So here on router 1, I run the command show flash. This command, it provides us with information on the size and type of a flash memory in the router. The router's configurations information is stored in a device called the non-volatile RAM, NVRAM, and the iOS images are stored in a device called the flash. So the configuration information will be stored in a device called the non-volatile RAM, and the iOS images are stored in a device called the flash. So now, if I want to erase everything in the startup configuration, which will take the router to its original configuration, enable, simply type erase startup configuration and hit enter. Which, by another word, if you have a PC and you want to wipe everything on the PC by formatting the PC or restore it to its original state, to the configuration which came from the factory of the device. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing. No email, no pictures are saved there, no documents, nothing. Is by erasing the startup configuration and then hit enter. To confirm, hit enter again. Now, why is it necessary to erase the startup configuration before reloading the router? Now, the startup configuration file is loaded into memory and becomes the running configuration after the router reloads. Erasing this file allows the router to return to its basic configuration after reload. Now, to reload, simply type the command reload. Enter. Proceed with reload. Confirm. Now, I'll do the same on switch 1. It will take a few seconds here. It will finish reloading on switch 1. Enable. Or even before that, you can run the flash in two modes here. Show flash. I'll type the command show flash. Now it is showing us the operating system, and here the VLAN.dat file where we save any VLAN's configuration will be saved on this file. I have no VLANs configured yet. By default, only VLAN 1 is configured on the switch. But if you notice the size of the VLAN.dat file, 736. Now I will configure a few VLANs, enable, configure terminal, VLAN 2, VLAN 3, VLAN 49, whatever VLANs you want, VLAN 50. Now I will exit twice, exit and exit again, and show flash. As you can see, the size of VLAN.dat file has been increased. It was this before 736, now it is 856. Now I will erase the startup configuration, just like what I did with the router. Simply type the command erase startup configuration and hit enter. I want to confirm. Now, if I run this command, show flash, it deleted the operating system or the running configuration, but it did not delete the VLAN.dat file. How to do that? Simply by typing this command, delete VLAN.dat. Hit enter, delete the file name, confirm, delete the flash, everything in that file, and confirm. Now show flash, and the VLAN.dat file is gone. Now the file VLAN.dat is stored in flash. You have to delete this file in order to completely erase all VLANs on the switch. After executing the command delete VLAN.dat, just hit enter twice and it will be gone, like what we did. Now I need to reload, enter, yes, and then confirm, and it will reload. As I said that I already configured the PCs. So let's try to ping from PC A to PC B. As you can see here, it is red, the connection between the PC and the router, or the router with the switch, which means it's not been activated or enabled. But I'll show you that we will not be able to ping from PC A to PC B. I will ping the IP version port first, 192.168.1.3, the IP address of the PC, and it should fail. And I will cancel it by hitting Control-C on the keyboard. And I will ping IP version 6, DB8, ABCD, 1, 3, enter, and this also should fail because layer 3 traffic has not been configured yet. We need to configure the interfaces on the router so the traffic between the two subnets can be routed. I will cancel it, Control-C. Now, on router 1, I will type no. It's asking us if we would like to enter the initial configuration dialog. No, we will do it on our own. So thank you, and type no. Now, I will enable privileged exec mode. User exec level allows you to access only basic monitoring commands. Privileged exec level allows you to access all router commands. Privileged exec level can be password protected to allow only authorized users the ability to configure or manage the router. Now, as you can see, the greater sign there denotes that you are in user exec mode or user execute mode. User execute mode or user exec mode. If I type enable or en, enable, hit enter. Now you enter the privileged exec mode. Before we were in the user exec, now we are in a privileged exec mode. Or enable privileged commands. If I type exit from here, we are limited here. If I type the question mark, we are just limited with these commands in the user exec mode. Enable, now we are in the enabled mode. Question mark, we will have more chances or more commands that we can configure from this mode. And configure terminal or conft. You can type it like this or conft. Now from the configuration mode, we will have more to configure on this mode. Now I am in the configuration mode. From here I can do, this is the global configuration mode. I want to assign a name for this device. Host name, one word, router, one, just like how I configure the routers. If you see here, this is the default for this router, comes with just word, router one. You can name it anything here. And with this command from the global configuration mode, host name, one word, and then type the name you want for your device. Maybe you can choose in a building, level 1, level 2, for the HR department, you can name it host name, HR, ABC, whatever, any name you want. And enter. Next, I will disable DNS lookup to prevent the router from attempting to translate incorrectly entered commands as though they were host names. Simply from the global configuration mode, type this command, no IP domain space lookup, one word, or no IP domain dash lookup. Either or will work, either command. Now I will assign CCNA as the privileged exec encrypted password, not a plain text password, but encrypted. Now if I exit from here, another exit, now we are in a user exec mode. If I type just simply enable, I'm there. Now we want to configure a password. Configure terminal, enable, secret. We need this password to be secretly encrypted, encrypted, CCNA. Now if I exit, 1, 2, try to go back, I will be able to type enable and then hit enter, but now it's asking for a password, and we configure the password as a CCNA, and we are there. Next, I will assign Cisco as a console password and enable login. Now, what is Cisco console 0? The CTY line type is the console port on any router. It appears in the router configuration as line count 0 and in the output of the show line commands as CTY. The console port is mainly used for local system access using a console terminal. Now, configure terminal or conft configure terminal, line, console, 0, enter. Now, how to read this line? We are in the line configuration. We are here in the line configuration of this router, and we want to configure the line console 0 on the router. As for the password, we want Cisco as a password, and to ask for a password before logging in using console 0. If you are a network admin or you want to do anything to work on the router or the switch, you connect the router to your PC, your laptop using the console 0 port on the router. You need to provide this password in order to log in and then enter. Now, I will assign Cisco as the VTY password and enable login. Now, what does line VTY means? Virtual teletype VTY. It's a command line interface created in a router and used to facilitate a connection to the router via telnet. Via telnet, which means when you connect to the router, across the network, the data you are accessing, it will be in a plain text when you use telnet. If you want it more secured, you will use SSH, secure shell. Anyway, explaining about SSH in another video. If you check my videos, it is explained thoroughly there. Now, a network protocol used in local area networks to connect to a VTY. Users must present a valid password. In order for you to access the network devices remotely, you need to provide a password. Now, it's a kind of range command. We are giving range of VTY, virtual terminal line, from 0 to 15, which means we have 16 lines. Again, password command to set a password to be used for authentication purpose. Login command to set router to ask for authentication. You want to do this? You need to provide a password. Now, we are still in the line configuration on this router, but now we want to configure the 16 lines. So line VTY from 0 to 15, all 16 lines. And in order to be able to access this router remotely, the password is Cisco. You need to provide it when you log in and hit enter. Now, I will exit twice here, and from here I will run the command show run. Now for the exec user mode, we provide this encrypted password, a secret password. And for the line console 0, it's in a plain text. And for the VTY lines, all 16 lines from 0 to 4 and 5 to 15, it's in a plain text. This is unacceptable if you want to secure your network. So we have a solution for this. Back to in the configuration mode, simply we want to provide us with a service. What's this service? I want the password to be encrypted on this device. Service, password encryption. Now, if I exit from here and run the command show run, they were in a plain text and now they are encrypted. This you can provide nobody can look over your shoulder and just see what you are typing. And that's encrypted. Next, I will configure and activate. I will minimize this a little bit so we can see our topology. I will configure and activate the two interfaces on the router. This interface here connecting PCB and the other interface, or I love to use the term ARM, this ARM here and this ARM here between the two subnets. So I'll configure this interface first. Configure terminal, the interface of B000, the IP version 4. Address on this interface of 192.168.1.1/24 subnet mask. And IP version 6 address for that interface, DB8 1 and 164, and IP version 6 address E80 : 1 link local. As you can see, it says red. It's not been activated or running this interface here to enable. So simply type no shut down. Enter. No shut down. Sorry. As you can see, it moved from it's been activated. Now the link local, this command here, link local for IP version 6, is a network address that is valid only for communications within the network segment, the same link, or the broadcast domain that the host is connected to. within the network, or this device is within a broadcast, this is the link local address. Now, we want to configure the other interface on gig 001 with IP version 4 address of 192.168.2.1/24 subnet mask, and with IP version 6 address of db8 2::164 IP version 6 address FE80::1 link local, and to enable the port or activate it, no shut or no shutdown. And this is how we do it. Now you can put description for the interfaces, like this interface is connecting PCB. I'll show you how to do it. Interface of gig 000 description, and this is an interface connecting PCB. Enter. I'll show you what I mean from showrun. For this interface on gig 00, we have a description that it will tell us what do we have connected on this interface. You can't put any, sorry, there was a typo. Connecting or connect, sorry about that. But you get the idea. Now, I will enable IP version 6 routing on the router. Now, what does IP version 6 unicast routing do? It enables the forwarding of IP version 6 unicast datagram globally on the router, automatically configures an IP version 6 link local address on the interface, and enables IP version 6 processing on the interface. So from the global configuration mode, simply type IP version 6 unicast routing and hit enter. Now, it's time to save the running configuration from the, here simply type, copy the running configuration. Everything we did so far, we want it to be saved to the startup configuration, and hit enter and then confirm. Now, I'll show you how we use the question mark for the commands. I will configure the time, the clock time on the router from clock question mark, which means we have only one option to do, which is for the clock to set it, clock set, and another question mark to configure it by the hour, the minute, and the seconds. The time I have here is 12:20:00 seconds, and another question mark. It's asking for the day, which is the 29th, and the month, which is January, and then the year, which is 2020, and then hit enter. This is how to do question mark, or to use question mark whenever, if you are stuck, you don't know what's the second word, or if you don't know how to start your configuration, you just type question mark, and it will show you from the user exec mode, the user privilege mode, from the configuration mode, global configuration mode. If you type the question mark, it will list for you every command you can run from that mode. If you know maybe the first word, but you know maybe just the first letter of the second word of the command, just type the first word, the second word, the first letter of the second word, question mark. It will give you the options, or how many words. It will list you the words that start with that specific letter you provided in the command line interface. Now let's see if we can ping from PCB to PC, from PCA or PCB to vice versa, after we configured the two subnets here. So from PCA, on the keyboard, just I'll hit the upper arrow and ping first the IP version 4. It should be successful. And it is. And I will ping IP version 6, which again I can with the upper arrow. This is on the keyboard. Hit enter and it is successful. Now it's time to configure the switch. We did the configuration on the router. Now it's our time to do some configuration on the switch here. Now I will enable the privileged exec mode. The switch, enable. Next, I will enter the configuration mode simply by typing configure terminal or conft, enter. Now from here, I can configure a host name. Host name, one word, SW2-1. Notice the default name which came with the switch is the word switch. And I want to be named switch SW-1 and I change it to SW1. Next, I will disable DNS lookup to prevent the router from attempting to translate incorrectly commands as they were host commands. Simply from the global configuration mode, type no IP domain lookup, enter. Next, I will configure and activate the VLAN interface on switch 1, which we have VLAN 1 by default. So enter VLAN 1. Now we are gonna be configuring the interface IF interface of doing a configuration for VLAN 1. And this is with the IP address as showing here on the topology for our VLAN 1. And for this 192.168.2.2/24 subnet mask. And activate this interface of VLAN 1 with a no shut command. Next, I will configure the default gateway for switch 1. I'll exit from here because I was configuring the interface of VLAN 1. Exit. Now for IP default gateway, which is 192.168.2.1. This is the gateway here on this interface for switch 1 and for PCA or any network device. This is its gateway to the other subnets or other networks. And hit enter. Now default simply means that this gateway is used by default unless an application specifies another gateway. But in this case, we have just the default gateway. Next, I will save the running configuration. The running configuration, all the configurations we did so far to the startup configuration. So the switch, if it powered off, next time it will, all the configurations we did, will be saved in the startup configuration. I'll exit from here, copy the running configuration to the startup configuration, and hit enter and confirm. Now let's run some pings from PCA after we did the configuration on the VLAN. Let's see again if we can ping still PCB, and it is successful. And now on the switch, I'll see if I can ping PCB, ping 192.168.1.3, and Run it again, and it is successful. Now I will display the network devices information. I will use the show command to retrieve interface and routing information. So on router 1 here, from the privilege exec privilege mode, I will type the command show IP route and then hit enter. Now it's showing here C stands for connected. C on the router was connected to the router, this showing that this network, this interface here on gig 00 is connected, and local of this interface of /32, local for this specific interface here, and this is connected to this network. Again, on the other side of the router, connected to this network, and locally for this interface, 192.168.2.1. This is for IP version 4, now for IP version 6. So IP version 6 route, again, it is showing connected to this network. When you see 00/64 network, it's directly connected via this interface, and locally for this interface of this IP address here. Next, I will display interface information on router 1. Back to router 1. Show IP interface, INT or interface, gig 001. This command will show us everything we need about this interface. This interface showing us here with it's green, which means it is up. The line of protocol is up, which is connected. The internet address or the IP address of this interface here is 192.168.2.1/24. The broadcast address is, this is the broadcast address. And if we are trying to look for the MAC address of the interface, because this interface has its own MAC address, it's not displaying here. And how to do it? We'll simply with this command show interface, not IP, show interface on gig 001, and here it will give us the MAC address. This is the hardware. This is the MAC address of this interface. The media access control MAC address on the gig 001 interface. And also it's giving us the IP address of this interface. Lots of information will be displayed after you enter this command, show interface. Show, specify the interface. Now again, also with IP version 6, show IP version 6. Show IP version 6 on the interface of gig 001. The interface is up, the LAN protocol is up, IP version 6 is enabled. This is telling us, and the link local for this IP interface, IP versions, IPv6 here, and the link local, and showing us the network and the joint group address of FF02, FF02 : 2 : 1. Next, I will display a summary list of the interfaces on router 1 and switch 1. There are several commands that can be used to verify an interface configuration. One of the most useful one of these is the show IP interface brief. This command would display a summary list of the interfaces on the device and provides immediate feedback to the status of each interface. So on the router, simply type show IP interface brief. Here, telling us on the interface of bit 00 with this IP address, and it's yes, the method manual, this is how we entered it, the status is up, and the protocol configured here is up for this interface, and for the other interface is this IP address here, and we have no VLANs on router 1, but on the switch, let's run this command, show IP interface brief. Here, it's for VLAN 1, we configured VLAN 1. The default VLAN on the switch, we configured it with this IP address, and it is up and up, the status. So we have two interfaces here on F03, as showing here, it is up and up. And connecting to PCA, and F02 also is up and up, connecting the switch to the router. This is the status of these two interfaces, up and up, F02, F03, and the rest of the interfaces are down, except for VLAN 1. This is by default configured, but we configured an IP address of this IP address, and the status of the VLAN up and up. Now, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any comments, any questions, please write me either via Facebook, or if you are a friend of me on my page, just send me a message. I will be happy to answer you back. Please, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel and share it on your Facebook page, and tell your classmates, colleagues about this site. And if you need more practice lab, you can check my channel on YouTube or my page on Facebook. I listed there all the practice lab I did